Welcome back, and we do have our winner of set one with us today, finally. Hikaru, congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a tough match.
You say it was a tough match, but I have to say, from our perspective, it looked like you were on your A game from the start. It felt like you were dominating the match and were the one in rhythm throughout. As the match progressed, did you feel that it was going to be a good day in office?
Well, I mean, I think when I won the second game, I figured at the very least I'd probably get to tie breaks. But yeah, I think really the result seemed smooth, but the way the third game went kind of messed up the whole rhythm because I think I was probably close to winning at a couple points in that game. And when I didn't win that game, that was sort of a big swing of the emotions because I went from, I think, clearly winning to maybe just a little bit better and then maybe possibly even losing for a move or two and then back to a draw. So I think the swings were pretty big in that third game. But for the most part, I thought I played well. And even in the fourth game, when it was pretty bad, I always knew there would be chances to draw just because of the opposite color bishops.
Hikaru, what would you say was the turning point in today's set? Would it be winning game two or surviving game three, feeling it shaky?
I mean, it was winning game two, obviously, because that gave me the advantage. I mean, game three saving was important, but getting on the scoreboard and getting the lead certainly was the most important thing. So winning that second game the way that I did, I was very, very happy with it, and that was the most important one for sure.
All right, and the one thing that really stood out for us was just simply the positions that you were getting out of the opening. It felt like you were doing well on the clock. Your openings were working out. It looked like solid prep coming into today's game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the second game was very messy, of course, but I was quite pleased that I got to play this variation against Magnus because I wanted something very sharp and very, very messy. And when I got that in the second game specifically, and then I was able to just keep finding reasonable moves, that really gave me a lot of confidence. And then somewhere, yeah, around this point that I got this rook h8, like before I got rook h8, I thought maybe it was just equal. And then as soon as I saw that Magnus played g5, it's like, oh, I can trade, go rook h8, and then everything I think falls apart for white.
Right. And what do you think, Hikaru, was the one thing that Magnus struggled most with today? Because what stood out to us was that it just felt that he never really got going in today's match. What do you think he struggled most with today?
I mean, I think Magnus was trying to play the way he's played throughout the last two events, which is he's tried to play very sharp and aggressive with both colors, and I think the positions are slightly more suited to me, is what I would say in terms of the troubles he had, especially with black, because in both the Najdorf games, I think the position was fine for black. The moves weren't simple, it wasn't intuitive, and it wasn't natural. And I think that showed based on Magnus's time usage. So probably I would say the openings were the biggest issue for Magnus today.
Right. And now in game four, it looked like Magnus had created something seemingly out of nothing. And were you ever actually worried during this game at any point, or were you confident about holding this?
I mean, I was pretty upset because I missed queen b3, and then as soon as he played e4, I saw it, and I spent like 2 minutes before going queen d5. I just didn't see it when I played bishop to e6, so I was pretty unhappy. But then I figured I should go for it anyway, and yeah, I think it was worse. But probably if there was some way Magnus could have kept the rooks on the board, I thought rook e1 here was probably the big mistake, because objectively after rook e1 bishop f7, I think all the queen end games are pretty easy to hold, whereas I think the rook end games are probably a lot harder, if not losing. Like if we get a 5 versus 4 or 4 versus 3 with rooks and bishops, I think they're very good winning chances. Where in the queen end game, I think it always should be a draw. So I was very happy when I traded the rooks and he wasn't able to take the a pawn. And then yeah, I think from there it was pretty smooth sailing. Even though the end game gets a little bit iffy, I always had a feeling it has to be a draw with the opposite color bishops.
And at the very end, we saw you sort of analyzing with your own self and trying to remember, the positions that this holds on to. What was going on in your mind at that moment? It was very interesting to watch you.
No, go ahead.
No, that's it. Go on.
I mean, the problem is originally I thought I could go king h6. I thought I could leave the king on h7 and go king h6, but that loses. That was the original thought. I think it loses at least. I'm not 100% sure, but I thought that I could just sort of wait here, like bishop c2, king f6, bishop d3, and then g5 takes bishop c2. And I thought this was a draw, but I mean, actually, the more I look at it now, it might just be a draw. But I was very worried after like g6, king h6 that there's some trick with I don't know, like bishop d2. I guess no, this is a draw because you can't go bishop d2 because I come up and you don't have time to get king e7.
Yes.
So actually, this would have drawn too. So I guess my original idea does work, but I can still play passive with the king on g8 as well. And I wasn't 100% sure that this was a draw, but I figured with the a2 pawn, it should always be a draw.
This a2 pawn is super critical in defending this position because the bishop can just never leave the diagonal.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, basically, it's just a theoretical draw. And so I saw it coming when he started moving the king over, and I knew it had to be a draw. It was just a matter of making the right moves and putting the king like on the right square specifically.
Hikaru, in the interview after you beat Daniel, you said that Magnus has this thing where he just does these little things just slightly better than everybody else. But today, Yas mentioned that it looked like you were the one doing all these little things slightly better. Did you feel that while playing today?
Yeah, I mean, I felt that I was really putting the pressure on Magnus. I could tell, especially in the third game, he was very unhappy with his position. So once again, I'm not going to change my opinion and act like somehow I'm better or anything. But what I would say is that the small advantage is that doesn't, like in a game-to-game or a match situation, that won't necessarily be reflective. But when you look at hundreds and hundreds of games, there is a difference. So today, I felt that in this match, I really took advantage of the opportunities that I had. And I really felt I played pretty well throughout. I mean, maybe this third game allowing this pawn to hang on g5 is really stupid, but for the most part, I thought I played well, and I got exactly what I wanted. So I'm very happy, and I think the result was of course the best one that I could have hoped for.
Absolutely, I think a dream start to the final and very impressive quality of play as well. It's a very long match. It's a best of 7. How important is it to take this early lead going into the finals?
I mean, I don't think it really matters. I think it was like a best of 3 or a best of 5, it would be a lot different. But I think in a best of 7, with so many more matches ahead, it really doesn't make a big difference, other than the fact that you need to win one less match out of the 7. But I would say in a best of 7, especially, I don't think it plays a huge role, other than the fact that, I mean, Magnus has to win one more match than I do at this point.
And I have to ask you one more question, Hikaru, before we get into some critical details of the game. That you had this great opening prep that you came with, and you have this final going on. You're streaming, you're traveling. How are you finding the time to do all this? How are you managing? It looks like you never sleep.
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, I mean, I'm probably not gonna have time to go over the games in detail because I actually have to run out and go do a television appearance on a show very soon. So what I would say is that you just do your preparation. And I think more so than that, it's just the fans kind of are giving me a lot of the inspiration, the drive, and I'm just doing what I can, and it seems to be working out.
All right, well, congratulations. I don't know, do you have just a couple more minutes, or do you need to rush right now?
I mean, I'm going to have to go in like 10 minutes, so I really do have to get going.
I'm going to hand it over to Yas and to Peter just for 1 or 2 critical moments that they want to take you through to the game. Is that fine?
Sure.
All right, thanks. Yas, Peter?
Thank you, Tanya. Congratulations, Hikaru. Everything you said, you were just the better player today. I think it was all about the pivotal game, too, that you won with the black pieces. And that was an opening that I don't know how much experience you've had in it. Just tell us a little bit more about your opening choice and how you came to make that, because that was the game that won you today's set.
I guess first thing I would say is that I saw the game between in the last match between Magnus and Ding Liren. That was sort of the first inspiration for it. And then secondly, when in doubt, play like Fabiano, plain and simple. I mean, Fabiano is the one who came up with this, I believe, this whole B5 idea when he played in St. Louis a couple years back. So really, just play like Fabiano, play good openings.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Peter. Peter.
Yeah, congratulations, Hikaru. It was a great start. I mean, already seeing the first game, it was such a high quality game. We felt like this day will be special. One question right at the beginning, because during the broadcast, I was telling Yasser was completely shocked. What is this bishop h4? And I told him if I'm not mistaken, then you yourself had played this bishop h4 like in 2013 in one of these FIDE Grand Prix. Am I right?
I played against Fabiano in the Tal Memorial. I don't know if it was this exact line with bishop h4, but I did play this knight d5 bishop f5 against him. It was in the Tal Memorial 2000. I think it was even earlier. I think it was like 2012. I think it was 2012 at the Tal Memorial. Fabiano had the white piece, I had the black piece, and we played this. So I was trying to remember it, I knew that there were a couple setups where white should be better. That's what I remember vaguely from when I did the preparation all those years ago, and I just tried to play something natural.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it looked very, very nice. And just one question in this third game. I mean, bishop b6, was it a simple oversight that you blundered that Magnus can take on g5 or what?
Yeah, I just blundered it. I just blundered that takes bishop f5, bishop g6. It's oddly enough, it's still probably winning for white, but I think psychologically when you think you're about to win the game and you blunder like this, I mean, not even just win the game, but win the match if you win the game. It's very hard to recover, but fortunately I was able to play some okay moves after that, I would say, and I was able to make the draw.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fascinating fight. I mean, I also don't want to torture you because it was a very intense match and the marathon has just started. So thank you very much, and I hand it back to Tanya.
Congratulations, Hikaru. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hikaru Nakamura taking the lead in the match with the first set victory, beating world champion Magnus Carlsen 2.5, 1.5.